Unfortunately, as the name implies, this is really just an episode of Harley Quinn running around town. Or is there a more interesting story under the surface of this? We're talking about Harley's Holiday right now. Welcome back to the show. So glad to see you once again. And if you're new here, thank you so much for joining us. Hope that you'll stick around and hit the subscribe button because we got a lot of great content reviewing Batman the Animated Series episode by episode. And today we're talking about Harley's Holiday. I had to laugh when I sat down to watch this episode because here we have another villain. And this episode on the surface doesn't seem much different. We've got Harley Quinn, she gets out of Arkham, and now she's gone good. But you want to stick around to see where I rank this episode in my list of favorite episodes so far because there's a little bit of an interesting story that's kind of tucked away in the middle of this story. So you're going to want to stick around and see that. But we'll talk all about that right after our 60-second rundown of the episode. Here I go. Harley is released from Arkham, considered to be sane, so she does the only thing that a sane person would do and goes shopping with hyenas. Our guard tries to stop her and she beats him over the head with a dummy and says, I'm just trying to be good. And she kidnaps Bruce Wayne's girlfriend, Veronica Vreeling, and takes her in the car and zooms away. And so the father of Veronica is a military general, and he's telling Commissioner Gordon, I want her back or by any means necessary. And Bullock is chasing after her to arrest her, and Harley arrives, and Veronica will use Veronica as a ransom to get a bunch of money, and she goes, no, I'm trying to go good, and they run off, and now they're all converging on the streets, and the general's in tank and shooting at them, and Bullock is trying to get them, Fox and McCoy is trying to get them with the tank, but General is shooting at them in a tank. Bullock is in the police car they all converge, and Harley Quinn escapes from this, and Batman goes, you're so close to turning good, and she goes, I can't be good, and so they end up taking her back to Arkham, and she kisses. But this episode starts out really slow. It takes a long time for her to be actually released from Arkham. Batman and Robin are bringing in Scarecrow, and there's a little weird exchange. She is released, and Batman wishes her well, and then she goes shopping, and then we spend a lot of time her going shopping and out with her hyenas.
Gee, what's wrong with them?
And we've talked about a lot of different variations and what it is that kind of sends her back in this spiral of getting back into crime.
No, just let me remove the security tag.
Now, granted, she's just newly became sane, so maybe she's not real good at this whole human interaction and how we behave in public. And so far, again, other than kind of hitting the security guard with the
Bitch boy, I'm armed.
But yeah, she really hasn't done anything quite wrong at this point. Kind of beaten up on a security guard. That's not really good. And does steal a car. Yeah, that's kind of Grand Theft Auto. So at this point, she is now...
But no, they wouldn't let me go straight. Society is to blame.
Then when we...
Hurry back up!
Whose daughter is Veronica, that Bruce Wayne that Harley Quinn's at, and happens to be there with Veronica, whose dad is this military general. Harley Quinn happens to kidnap Veronica to get the car, which belongs to Bruce Wayne, and has a tracking device in there, which is what Bruce Wayne and Batman, or coincidences is. A lot of coincidences there to get to this point in the story.
Oh, you're
kind of clunky, weird kind of concept, this idea of Harley Quinn going good, trying to force out another Harley Quinn episode. We've seen some great ones, and like I shined and was a feature in the episode, and that's a great episode. And then we have one like this that I don't know if it was just a, hey, we're having fun with this character, let's tell another story, let's feature her again. And they end up with this, which I don't think is as good as some of the other Harley episodes.
Call me Harley. Everyone does.
And all this is happening to kind of set in motion this concept at the end. So we have Batman and Robin trying to get to Harley Quinn to help, Bullock trying to get to her to arrest her for the whole shop thing and stealing the car.
I'm gonna get that little kook if it's the last thing I ever do.
And that's kind of clever, kind of neat.
Not you now, you screwy little troublemaking clown.
To get all those components to line up just so that they could all meet at the end. But I do like the kind of the idea of all these other people, all these other entities trying to get to her for all these different mad world feel to it. Again, speaking of Terry Thomas from our previous episode, other than Grand Theft Auto and kidnap 3 major crimes.
Miss Vreeland dropped the kidnapping charges. With a little more hard work, you should be ready to re-enter society for good.
Yay.
Let me make sense of this. So I feel like the intention of the episode, the hidden gem of this episode that they were working with, was the idea that Harley Quinn hasn't done anything wrong and it was a misunderstanding, and now everybody's trying to converge on her and get to her for different reasons. So she really has broken the law, so really Harvey Bullock should be going after her. I don't know what Batman can do at this point because she has broken the law, and the boxer mobster guy, well, the simple fact that he's there means that she's cooperating with the mob, which is not a good thing. So, and then the tank. I still don't understand the tank. The general in the tank is like a Looney Tunes thing.
No, that's your father in a tank!
And then at the end, in a very odd scene, she kisses Batman, and it just sort of gets goofy.
Call me.
Don't press your luck.
So when it comes time to rank this episode, it is a basic, down and dirty villain reforms episode that is not as good as some of the other villain reform episodes and doesn't have enough there to kind of keep this story together. Harley Quinn's still kind of a neat character, so it's fun to watch her going through this situation. But other than that, this episode really doesn't have a lot going for it. So for those reasons, it ends up at the number 58 spot of my favorite episodes. Very near the bottom. Falls just below Avatar. As different as Avatar is from kind of the normal Batman the Animated Series episodes, it's still got just a really full story to it. Whereas this one is just kind of bland. But it does beat out Joker's Favor. I know I've said it 100 times before, but that episode is just too much Joker.
Talk about grasping at straws! Oh well, at least I'm going out on a joke.
So you heard my theory that this episode existed to kind of set up this all converging on Harley for different reasons and creates this big situation out of a small little misunderstanding. But maybe I'm wrong. What's your theory about what they were going for in this episode? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe because we have new episodes coming out every Tuesday and Thursday. And this Thursday, we have a new episode coming out with Make 'em Laugh. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Canode, and I'll see you soon.